go. Hey everyone. I'm trying to do this again. Um, it, uh, see, here's a video about you know the stats of black women who face domestic violence. I'm going to play the video, and then I got another video that I will play for y'all after this is over. So here we go.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, making it more than appropriate to talk about the rise of domestic violence against Black women, particularly during the pandemic. Let's use Indiana as an example. In the last 10 months alone of 2020, one Indianapolis-based organization served 50% more domestic violence victims than all of 2019 combined. And since the beginning of the pandemic, domestic violence-related 911 calls have nearly doubled, and the state has seen a 113% jump in deaths related to domestic violence. Now, to discuss this heartbreaking trend, I'm going to bring in two attorneys to break it all down for us and give us some solutions as to how we can end this troubling trend. In New York, we're going to bring in Carrie Ann Burke. She's a federal litigator in domestic violence cases. She's also a legal analyst. And from the West Coast, we have Karen Felicia Nance. She's a criminal defense attorney, and she's also a certified domestic violence interventionist. Ladies, I want to welcome you both back to BNC Live. So Carrie Ann, we'll start with you. That last statistic, Black women being nearly 3 times more likely to be victims of abuse than white women. Why do you think that is? Why is this happening to us?
To speculate a little bit, I believe there are certain cultural normative values that in our community has gone unchecked for a while. We do need to have dispute resolution skill sets for families. We also need to discuss any other drug abuse and addiction issues in our community that may lead to domestic violence for Black women. The percentages are very stark. It's 40% or more individuals that will experience domestic violence as a Black woman. So we have quite a bit to deal with in our community. Some of the music, some of the culture perpetuates a cycle of demeaning our women, which results in a bad relationship dynamic.
Karen, as someone who actually intervenes in potentially abusive situations, what do you think is a good starting point in terms of prevention, just to piggyback off of what Carrie Ann said?
Sure. I believe that the community has to become more involved, and we can start with our churches. If the message that comes from the pulpit from our pastor says that this is something that we need to address, and 2, we need to resolve, that would be a good starting place. In addition, we have to look at the domestic violence shelters themselves and make sure that they are acutely aware that African American women's issues are different a lot of times than those of white women, and make sure that the shelters adequately address the needs of the women and the children that enter those facilities, and also giving a voice for these women and men, because even though 45% are women, African American women, 40% of men also report domestic violence abuse as well. So as long as those stories are getting out there in the community and the community is being educated, I believe that's a great start.
All right, so start in the community, and then talk about how to resolve our anger versus doing it in a physical way. I want to rattle off some statistics to you, ladies, which are just quite startling. 1 in 4 women will experience severe intimate partner physical violence. We have a full screen. If we can bring that up, that'd be great, so our viewers could also see it. 1 in 7 women have been stalked by an intimate partner. 1 in 5 women in the United States has been raped in their lifetime. I mean, I work with a room full of women, and to think that one of us has experienced something so traumatic like that, it just really startles me. So once we get that screen up, we'll show our viewers that those stats as well. But Carrie Ann, can you just discuss how intimate partner homicide is more common than we really realize?
Yes, it's actually very common. In my experience, I litigated cases in the Integrated Domestic Violence Court here in New York City. And while I never dealt with the death case, it was very close because the clients that I dealt with actually were hospitalized, and many times we had immigrant populations that were also being subjected to domestic violence as a means to get them to submit if they want their green cards or any other visa type. So it's a lot of manipulation, it's a lot of control, it's a lot of issues that people are facing in their home. We in the community of domestic violence awareness, we say there's fatality factors. So an individual may not start off with the aggression of maybe punching and beating. It may start off with arguing, and then it goes up the totem pole, if you will, and you'll find that people actually resort to the ultimate violence, which is death. So we often tell ladies, if you are in a relationship where it goes from the arguing, the belittling, the jealousy to now the strangulation, it is increasing in the violence, and the fatality factor of death shall ultimately come to pass if you're not careful. So we want to give you an escape plan. So that's how we deal with that.
All right, Karen, before we get to that escape plan, can you just talk about some signs that we should be on the lookout for? Because, you know, sometimes as women, I've had friends in situations where the man is somewhat aggressive and it's like, oh my God, he loves me. It's mistaken for love rather than what it truly is.
Absolutely. I believe one of the clear signs is isolation. When you have a friend or family member who you can't reach by phone, when the practice beforehand, before they were involved in this relationship with this person, you could reach them by phone, they're available for coffee, they were available to come by, and then you notice a sign that they're not available and they are being controlled by this other individual. Or when you do have an opportunity to go out with them, they are constantly checking their phone because they have to check in and make sure that they let their partner know exactly where they are at all times. And also if they're told that they have to leave at a certain time. So a different pattern has emerged where they seem that they're having more of a relationship where they have to report very often. And then their mood changes. There's subtle signs. And I would caution people that if they are experiencing that themselves, to reach out and help. But also, if you observe a friend or family member in that situation, that you not criticize, but you be as supportive as you can and offer a safe place if they ever need it.
Great advice. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I hope we touch some viewers at home. Thank you.
Okay, that was the first video I wanted to show y'all today. And it probably, I believe that it probably spiked now. But yeah, after what they say, after what they were saying on that video, I'm guessing it's, to me, it's really sad to hear that. Yeah, I do not know what to say right now. Only thing I have to say is Black women, you have to protect yourselves out here, because I'm afraid that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Because, again, if this is why I say you have to vet the man that you are with. You have to vet the guy that you're with. Because these stories are happening way too often. I just got a notification about a black woman who was killed and dumped in the woods by her psychopath husband. But black women, black femicide is not a game. And do not believe the black male worshippers when they say that black femicide doesn't exist. Because as you heard in the video, it actually does exist. Those who do not want to admit it, they are part of the problem. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. And I will be back with another video in a little while. Until then, peace.